Did you know that the way you write can even reveal if you're a leader or a procrastinator? That's what graphologists claim. But let's make you judge for yourself. This is what your handwriting secretly says about you. Let's begin with your slant style. If handwriting leans to the right, graphologists often interpret this as emotional openness. The writer is thought to be expressive, responsive, and socially outgoing. A rightward slant is associated with engagement and comfort in interacting with others. If handwriting leans to the left, it is commonly interpreted as emotional reservation. The writer may be introspective, cautious, or protective of personal feelings. Some interpretations suggest a preference for independence or solitude. Vertical writing, where letters stand upright without leaning, is often associated with emotional control and logical thinking. The person is believed to balance emotion and reason carefully. When slant changes frequently within a single paragraph, graphologists sometimes interpret it as internal conflict or mood variability. Number 2. Size and self-perception. Size is believed to reflect how a person positions themselves. Large handwriting is often interpreted as confidence and outward expression. The reasoning is spatial. Larger letters take up more physical space on the page. Graphologists argue that individuals who naturally write bigger may feel comfortable being seen, expressing themselves openly, or asserting presence in social environments. Occupying more space on paper is viewed as symbolically similar to occupying more space socially. Small handwriting, in contrast, compresses information into a tighter area. Graphologists interpret this reduction of space as inward focus. Writing smaller requires finer motor control and sustained attention, which is why it is often associated with concentration and detail-oriented thinking. Instead of projecting outward, the energy appears directed inward, toward precision and internal processing rather than external display. Medium-sized handwriting is typically viewed as balanced, suggesting flexibility between self-expression and restraint. Number 3. Pressure and emotional intensity. Heavy pressure, where strokes appear dark or leave visible indentations on the page, is often interpreted as emotional intensity and strong conviction. The reasoning is physical. Pressing harder requires more muscular force and sustained energy. Graphologists argue that this outward physical pressure may symbolically mirror inner psychological pressure, suggesting determination, persistence, and a forceful engagement with experiences. Light pressure, by contrast, produces faint strokes with minimal indentation. This reduced force is interpreted as a lighter emotional imprint. Graphologists associate it with sensitivity and responsiveness, suggesting a person who processes experiences gently rather than forcefully. At the same time, some interpretations propose that consistently light pressure may reflect lower physical drive, or a tendency to withdraw from intense confrontation. Moderate pressure is generally viewed as balanced, indicating steady emotional regulation without extremes of force or restraint. Number 4. Baseline direction and outlook. The direction of the baseline, the invisible line your words follow across the page, is believed to reflect emotional momentum. When handwriting gradually rises upward, graphologists interpret it as forward drive and optimism. The upward movement is seen as symbolic of energy pushing ahead despite resistance. If the baseline slopes downward, it is often associated with lowered motivation or emotional heaviness, as the writing appears to lose lift across the page. A straight and steady baseline is typically viewed as emotional control and discipline, suggesting consistent regulation rather than fluctuating highs and lows. Number 5. Spacing and social boundaries. The gaps between letters and words are interpreted as reflections of how comfortably a person manages closeness and separation. Wide spacing between words is often associated with independence, as the writer leaves more physical room on the page. Graphologists argue that this spatial distance may symbolically mirror a preference for autonomy and emotional breathing space in relationships. Narrow spacing, where words and letters appear crowded, is interpreted as comfort with proximity. It may suggest sociability or a desire for connection, though some interpretations propose it could reflect difficulty tolerating isolation. Margins are also analyzed. A wide left margin is sometimes linked to attachment to the past, while a wide right margin may suggest caution toward future uncertainties. Balanced margins are generally seen as emotional steadiness. Number 6. Loops and emotional expression. Upper loops in letters such as L extend into what graphologists call the upper zone of writing. This zone is symbolically linked to intellect and abstract thought because it rises above the central line where most words sit. When a writer forms large upper loops, graphologists argue that the upward expansion visually represents mental reach beyond immediate reality. Smaller or tightly controlled upper loops restrict that vertical movement, which is interpreted as disciplined or practical thinking. Lower loops in letters like G and Y descend below the baseline into the lower zone, which is associated with physical action and instinct. A wider lower loop involves broader motor movement and greater stroke amplitude. This is interpreted as a larger downward sweep as symbolic of stronger engagement with material or physical drives. Narrow lower loops reduce that amplitude, suggesting controlled impulses or moderated desire. The letter O is significant because it forms a closed circle, and circles are interpreted as representations of the self. When the O is open, leaving a gap in the stroke, symbolizing openness in communication. When the O is tightly closed or retraced, the reinforced enclosure is seen as strengthening personal boundaries, which is interpreted as privacy, caution, or guarded expression. Number 7. Shape and stroke style. Rounded handwriting is formed through continuous curve movements rather than abrupt directional changes. The absence of sharp angles is seen as reduced visual tension, which is why rounded writing is often associated with warmth, flexibility, and cooperative tendencies. Angular handwriting, by contrast, is produced through sharp directional shifts and pointed stroke endings. The pointed forms are interpreted as analytical or critical thinking because angles suggest precision and boundary definition. In stronger cases, excessive angularity is sometimes linked to competitiveness or aggression due to the repeated sharp impact of strokes. Connected cursive writing joins letters in a continuous flow, requiring forward momentum and sequential motor coordination, resembling continuity as linear and logically connected thinking. Number 8. Speed and rhythm. Writing speed is examined through stroke continuity, pen lifts, and overall fluency of movement. Fast handwriting usually involves reduced pen lifts, simplified letter forms, and forward momentum across the page. Because producing writing at high speed requires rapid cognitive processing and quick motor execution, it is interpreted as fast decision-making and mental agility. The compressed forms that often accompany speed are also seen as prioritizing efficiency over perfection, associating it with impatience. Slow handwriting, by contrast, involves deliberate stroke formation, clearer separation between letters, and controlled pacing. Since slower writing demands sustained attention to form and spacing, graphologists interpret it as methodical processing and cautious evaluation before action. Rhythm refers to consistency in stroke pressure, spacing, and letter formation. A steady rhythm suggests stable motor control and emotional regulation, while irregular rhythm or fluctuating forms are interpreted as shifts in focus or internal tension influencing movement. Number 9. Signature analysis. Unlike regular handwriting, which tends to flow automatically, a signature is practiced and consciously repeated. For this reason, it is interpreted as the image a person chooses to present to others. If the signature closely resembles the body handwriting in size, style, and pressure, it is interpreted as consistency between private personality and public identity. The similarity suggests alignment between how a person behaves internally and how they appear externally. If the signature differs significantly from the rest of the writing, for example being much larger, more stylized, or exaggerated, it is interpreted as a separation between inner traits and outward presentation. An illegible signature is often interpreted as guardedness because the obscured form limits clear access to identity. If a name is crossed or struck through in the signature, it is interpreted as possible self-conflict or dissatisfaction, since the act visually interrupts or challenges the written identity. By combining all these elements, graphologists claim they can build a layered personality profile from a single page of writing. Actually, from a graphologist's perspective, handwriting is more than marks on a page. Each stroke, curve, and line is considered a subtle expression of internal mental patterns, offering potential insight into aspects of character that may not be immediately visible in everyday interaction. The roots of graphology go back several centuries, but it gained structured attention in the 19th century. Among those who showed interest in psychological measurement was Alfred Binet, the creator of the IQ test, called graphology the science of the future. In the United States, the American Graphoanalysis Society was founded in 1929 to promote structured handwriting analysis. Over time, graphology began appearing in criminal profiling. Forensic graphologists helped catch criminals using their skills. In one such case, graphologists knew someone was lying. As they could see, the writing didn't flow. Key cases include the Lindbergh kidnapping, identifying the BTK serial killer, exposing the Hitler diaries hoax, and uncovering frauds. Studies comparing handwriting analysis with established personality models like the Big Five often show weak or inconsistent correlations. Different graphologists analyzing the same sample may also reach different conclusions, raising questions about consistency. Because of this, many psychologists classify personality-based graphology as controversial or even pseudoscientific. So now the decision shifts to you. After hearing the classifications and interpretations, does your handwriting feel revealing, or does it feel like coincidence dressed as insight? The comment section is yours.